Hi neighbor, Rosie Zepeda here with Fiscally Responsible Common Sense Policy and the Cambrian Park Plaza project. I was one of the first to speak against this project, and part of the reason is because the way that the project was proposed was the wrong project for the community, and it didn't meet the 2040 plan standards. So let me just briefly touch on the 2040 plan standards. So the 2040 plan standards or plan that was put together in 2011 was really a vision of, how do we expand the city and what is the vision that we have for the city. But the plan calls for that in order to place a urban village, and again, let me go back and describe. So the concept, which is a concept of an urban village, is that in urban village people work, shop, and live. And so therefore they're biking, you're reducing environmental impact, you're not really driving anywhere. I mean, it's a great concept, but the reality is that it doesn't really fit the Cambrian Park Plaza in terms of making that into an urban village, and here's why. The 2040 plan calls for a requirement in infrastructure in place, and part of that requirement is that there has to be accessible, ongoing, and a very available public transportation. As many of you know, there's only like one bus line that goes down there, and it doesn't come as often as it should. I've actually sat there and waited for the bus. So it doesn't meet the plan of the 2040 plan. So therefore, we can't talk about an urban village in Cambrian Park Plaza because it doesn't meet the requirements. The previous plans that were proposed, which were being called Santana Row West, which I find very scary, is that there was going to be 2 8-story hotels. There was going to be a senior center or convalescent center, and then there was going to be townhomes, and then a bunch of retail. Now, part of the reason why the city was implementing this is because of our jobs to housing ratio always being off. However, as many of you have stated, the jobs that are going to be provided there those people can't even live in our area. They can't afford to live in our area. So therefore, we'd have more people moving into the Union and Camden interchange in order to then now get to those jobs. So here are some of the things that I have spoken to many of you about and empowered some of you who are involved with some of the neighborhood groups that are forming in response to this project. And basically is no. Just say no to the height. I drove around the city because I'm research-based, and where there's a lot of building going on over in North San Jose, none of those buildings are over 4 stories. So I believe that the hotel stays, but I believe that they should be no more than 4 stories tall. And I think that's feasible. And basically the developer there, just has to figure those things out. The other thing is, because it's being deemed an urban village, the parking spaces were going to go from 150 to 90. And this will definitely affect the community because once constructed, people will have to then park in your neighborhoods, and we don't want that. So Cambrian Park is very unique in that the original homes that were constructed in 1954 have been passed on from family to family. And there's been this amazing, great intergenerational, history established in this particular part of the city, which is very unique. And I believe that we need to safekeep that. I think that we need to be very conscious that we don't turn everything in San Jose into a mall or an urban village. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board. This project needs to be approved by you, the community, as it should. And so I believe that we need to go back to the drawing board. And an urban village would be better suited, I've said this before publicly, in the Monterey corridor, where there's tons of buses leading right into the center of the city. You don't have residences. It meets the requirements for the 2040 plan. So those are my thoughts on the Cambrian Park Plaza, and I'm very happy to work with all of you on that to make, as I have already, to make sure that we let our voices known. And we let our voices known in terms of what we want our community to look like. The final thing I want to say about this is that the concept of urban village doesn't fit here either, because it poses a public safety issue. As many of you know, public safety is my main platform. And if right now between the hours of 5 and 7, you can't get an ambulance through Camden and Union, there's no way that, I mean, it's a public safety issue if we can't get services to residents, because there'll be even more gridlock than now, than now exist in that corridor. So Rosie Zepeda with Fiscally Responsible Common Sense Policy. Thank you.